So back in the day, I used to know a guy. I can't really call him a friend. And he actually owed me some money, but by the time he actually paid me my money, paid his bills, helped his baby mama that was on and off relationship, and sometimes he even had some money left over, but when he had money left over, he would usually spend it on drinks. But most of the times, he was basically paycheck to paycheck, and that was usually barely. Now you might say, Tommy, this guy sounds like dysfunctional. That's not really me, but for the most part, most people have a dysfunctional relationship with money if they're living paycheck to paycheck. Instead of having, for example, owing me money, they might owe a credit card. Instead of having to worry about a baby mama, they might have to worry about, for example, bad habits. Instead of actually spending money on drinks, they might spend it on trash, going to Macy's, buying clothes, or whatever you're actually spending the money on. The point is, paycheck to paycheck, it's not just usually about, I have this much cash, I just don't have enough, but it's usually something going on with your personal life and your personal habits and the personal tools you have financially that don't allow you to actually get ahead of your bills and not actually be in debt, or for example, just can't really make it whatsoever. So in this video, my goal is just to get you caught up with your bills and get you 1 month ahead of them. This way, you don't have to worry about somebody turning off the lights or the water, or you just not having enough money overall, okay? Now, as always, guys, my name is TommyBryson. Make sure you actually like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified, because I have a lot more videos on money and investing and a lot more stuff on this channel. So here's the first thing you actually want to do. When I actually weighed in about 205 pounds and I was actually obese, there was a day where I actually said, I gotta change. And here's how that actually happened. I saw the truth. I actually got butt naked in front of the mirror and I looked at myself and I said, boy, you're fat, you're obese. If you don't change this, you might not get the chance to turn back later on. And it's the same thing with your money. If you don't change, if you don't look at reality, then you might not get the chance to turn back. You might dig a hole that you really can't climb out of, okay? And that's not me being mean with myself or with you. It's just telling you, look at reality. So here's how you actually see reality when it comes to your personal finance mirror. You have to write down everything you owe, everything you spend, everything you make. So my recommendation is make a list right now as you're watching this video. I don't want you to procrastinate to do it later. If you're at your job right now while you watch this video, doesn't matter. Grab a piece of paper, open up your notes app, and just go step by step and keep watching this video and filling things out, okay? So you wanna write down exactly all of your necessities. And here's the list for necessities. It's not what you think is necessary, it's what's actually necessary. So it's usually gonna be shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. And then write down the exact amount you're actually spending on these things. And don't forget to also write down your income. How much money do you actually make every single week, bi-weekly, or month, okay? Write it down also. Then I want you to make a list of everything else you're spending money on. Don't think about it. Go on your banking statements. Look at the reality. See what you're spending money on, okay? Your credit card statement, wherever your statements are actually recorded. Then I also want you to write down, well, who do you owe money to? How much money do you owe them? How much do you pay them per month? And what is the interest rate? Don't guess this. Go online and look at your credit card statements. They usually show it, or call in your lender. You have student loan debt, you have a mortgage, all this stuff, you gotta put it down on this list. It's how you see reality. One big thing that I used to do was basically try to hide from problems. So I would just kind of ignore them. But you gotta kind of just put everything on paper, and you might think it might be even more overwhelming when you actually do that, but no, it actually helps you, because your problems in here, what you can't organize, when you put it on paper, you can see everything and you can start working on each one step by step. So it's very important you actually do that. This is the equivalent of me standing butt naked, looking at the mirror and saying you are obese. This is what you're gonna do right now. Not that, but with the paper and the finances, okay? Now, number 2 is going to be, let's make a plan. Once I looked in the mirror, I said, well, how many calories do I need to eat every single day to lose weight? How many times do I have to go to the gym per week? And by when do I actually want to lose that amount of weight? That's how I actually got to where I am right now. So the same thing with your finances, okay? What is the overall goal? We're trying to catch up with our bills. We're trying to save as much money as possible by cutting out our expenses. And if we can actually earn more income, that's going to be amazing. Now, what is our deadline to actually do all this stuff? The answer is this month. Usually, you don't require 6 months to stop living paycheck to paycheck. You just require usually like a month or two to get everything organized and actually make a big change. So the first thing you actually want to do right now is take action. Whatever is not a necessity, you actually want to cut it out. All right, so if you have in your bills, oh, I have 15 subscriptions I don't use and I don't need, and you definitely don't need most of them, you go ahead and you cut out whatever things you actually need, whether it is a necessity or not, and you actually are gonna have it. Make sure you try to negotiate on them or try to reduce it. So here's one example. If you're spending more than 30% of your income on rent, try to figure out how to move and basically get your rent payment to less than 30%. That way, you can actually save a lot of money. What is your food bill? How much you spend there? How can you actually reduce that? Well, eating at home. How much do you spend on your phone bill? Well, I spend $120. Well, how about you sell that phone, pay off the bill, and buy a $100 phone and get a $15 prepaid plan over at Mint? That's also unlimited. That is also an option. If you have a car where you're spending $700 a month on it, on a payment, try to sell that car, get the money, pay the loan, and then just buy yourself a beater car or just take public transfer for a while you save up the money in the cash to actually buy a car for cash, okay? So that's the answer here. You really wanna cut out all the things you don't need, and the things you do need, try to reduce those things also. Now, very important, usually, if you sleep 8 hours, you work 8 hours, you spend about 2 hours or so like on transportation, on commuting or whatever, all this stuff, usually you have left 6 hours in a day. That's the math, okay? So if you take 3 of those hours and you use it for your family, for rest and yourself, pretty cool, that's fair. But grab those other 3 hours and go do delivery pizzas, go do Uber, go do something out there that's going to increase the amount of money you actually make. Now, the overall goal and objective here is to actually make sure you're actually bringing in more money than you're actually spending. And how does that work? You reduce your expenses, your income stays the same. What's the difference there? That extra money, we're going to grab it to reduce the money we actually owe to people, whether it's a credit card, student loan debt, and all that stuff, and that's going to get you financially healthier little by little. That's the idea. But I'm not just going to leave you with that, okay? Because that would be, hey, all right, so I cut out most of my expenses. Now I have more money left over. But what do I do with this extra money? What would be a good plan to actually do with this money? Well, first of all, the first part is you actually want to save between $500 to $1,000, okay? That way you have cash on the side. So if something wrong goes around or something happens, you have money to actually figure those things out. Now, number two is you want to start paying off your debts using the avalanche method. Look up how to pay off debt, avalanche method on YouTube, TommyBryson. You'll find me with a video on how to do that, okay? This way you can be debt-free as fast as possible, pay off all the debt except the mortgage. Number three is you actually want to start saving up for emergency fund. So you want to have 3 months or 6 months of your expenses. If you spend $2,000 a month on your expenses, well, multiply that by 3 or by 6, and that's the amount of money you actually want to have. And then once you're done with that, you want to get into investing, right? Around like 10-20% of your money, and then save the rest for a down payment on a home. But that's like later on. But for right now, the overall goal is, guys, just by doing this one thing in this video, which is basically looking in the mirror and taking action, you can go ahead and catch up to your bills today, all right? That's the idea. Make all the calls. Now, by the way, here's one last tip if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Be willing to call the people you owe money to. Call the credit card companies and ask them, hey, is there any way you could actually pause the interest rate on this? I'm trying to pay off these credit cards. Or figure out how to actually close them down. Or look into a balance transfer credit card that allows you to transfer the balance from those credit cards over to that credit card, which is 0% interest rate, and that way you can pay it off and then close down the rest, okay? Be very careful when you basically transfer the balance from one card to the next, and then you use that card too and start going into debt all over again. The goal here is to kind of have a plan, start taking action today, and make everything happen. But remember, this is going to take time. It's going to be a slow process. You did not get here overnight, so it's going to take some time. Now, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If I sound like I'm being mean, I'm really not, okay? Because I've been there before, and you don't need somebody who's gonna be nice to you. You need somebody who's gonna tell you the truth. And that's how you usually get it done, okay? And if you actually did everything in this video, I want you to comment down below. What is your income? What are your necessary expenses per month? Like, how much are you spending there? And what is the difference between them? So if you make $2,000 a month and you're spending $1,500 a month, $2,000 minus $1,500, you have $500 left over. What are you gonna do with those $500? Go over the list I gave you, description down below, and go little by little and start saving up money, paying off debt, and so on, one by one. Not all at once, okay? That's the idea. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. And if you're curious, I don't know whatever happened to that guy.